Try to remember what Rinpoche did in the teachings. So, at the very start of the text, there's a praise to compassion. So, here we have the Buddha compassion. Also, as Lama Zopa Rinpoche always likes us to do, just to spend a moment when we come into the Gompa and connect with the holy objects. And especially here, in this case, with this retreat, a lot of talk on the qualities of compassion. Let's give a minute for everybody else to get in. I was a minute early. Wee bit early, yeah. As I was saying, just taking a moment to think about the qualities of compassion. That's right at the beginning of the text. This praise to compassion, praise to the deity, in this case, the deity being the Buddha compassion, embodying all the qualities of the Buddha's compassion. And, thinking about how compassion benefits us. It's from the Buddha's compassion. His kindness to us comes from his compassion. So that's what Rinpoche mentioned yesterday. That we're able to still receive these teachings after, over 2,000 years they've been in this world. So it's due to the compassion, the power of compassion of the Buddha, that we are still the recipient, even though we're kind of the denser ones, coming at the end of the road, And one time we were in Lama Zopa Rinpoche, one friend told me, one nun who lived at Rinpoche's house, said one time Rinpoche said to her something like, there was some teaching on the teachings degenerate, as they slowly go out, and how we're coming to the end, more towards the end of the Buddha's teaching, so things degenerate. And Rinpoche sort of leaned over to her and said, "We just made it." Like we're at the end of the road, but we just got in there, I thought it was so sweet, so so a bit like that, I mean, not putting ourselves down, as Rinpoche said, trying to hold that fortune, how fortunate I am, I still have the merit to receive the Buddha's teachings, because we see most people in our lives don't have that merit, yeah. All our friends, family, not Dharma friends, but the other ones. There's something not there, So it's because of the power of compassion of the Buddhas, and also, of course, our own merit, so that Rinpoche's here. I mean, Rinpoche, because Rinpoche's come from a line of previous lives, so that's also, Rinpoche, we receive the teaching for Rinpoche due to the power of the compassion of his previous lives, that they manifest again back for us. So it's just to think about that more deeply, when we take refuge, when we do prostrations. It kind of behooves us to, as we look at the holy objects, remember that, as Rinpoche said, especially the quality of compassion, it's really that, even the arhats have realized emptiness, but they haven't developed the great compassion that results in bodhicitta. So when we praise the Buddha, or we prostrate, we think about, again, as Rinpoche said, not just the Buddha's qualities, but even those who have on the first level of bodhicitta. And the power of compassion that's caused that bodhicitta, and how much it's benefiting us through the teachings, through the teachers. So prostrating to that, and also prostrating to our own potential, that compassion that resides in us, we just need to keep nurturing those seeds. So then we prostrate 3 times, thinking about that, how wonderful it is, the compassion, all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, all the gurus, We have this centre because of the compassion of Rinpoche, Lama Yeshe, and other many holy beings who have come here. His Holiness the Dalai Lama placed his holy feet here in the 90s. So may that also ripen in me and in all sentient beings. I think that when we prostrate together. So if you know Om Namo Manjushri, otherwise please just prostrate, thinking we're receiving all the light and nectar and all that power. It kind of really nurturing our own bodhicitta as well, our own potential for great compassion and bodhicitta. Om Namo Manjushri, Namasusri, Nama Utamashri So. Om Namo Manjushri, Namasusri, Nama Utamashri So. Om Namo Manjushri, Namasusri, Nama Utamashri So. So again, like yesterday, we're just going to do first part of the meditation, just settling the mind. And then try and do a little bit through the text with some of my notes in the second part, just a few verses. Just if you're anything like me, you know, I don't hold the teachings very well. Got the leaky vessel syndrome. So, you know, this is another opportunity just for us to try and hold as much as possible what was taught, remind ourselves, you know, what was taught a little bit yesterday. So first of all, going into, a little bit meditation, settling the mind, a bit of shamatha, calm abiding practice. So a couple of minutes just for us to kind of scan the body from the crown all the way down to the toes, you know, like giving ourselves acupuncture with the mind and the breath, checking all the points of the body, especially the spine, from the sit bones all the way through to the crown. We need this kind of arrow-like energy from the spinal and the inside the core, right alongside our spine, just holding the more subtle body more straight, that is inside the more deeper inside the grosser body. That's the main one that kind of supports us for meditation, the channels, winds, drops. So the main channel running from, you know, just below the navel all the way through to the crown. So that if we keep the spine straight, shoulders back, checking all that as we move down the body with breath and awareness. Softening through the jaw and the eyes. So as we know, those of us who've been practicing for some time, and especially even as new ones, we're all new in a way, but we need a lot of inspiration, huge amount, to keep going, keep just step by step developing the mind, healing the mind, bringing the Dharma into the mind. So Rinpoche told a lot of stories yesterday. Of course, being in the presence of holy beings is kind of like the most inspiring, really. Hearing the Dharma for beings who have that quality already developed in themselves. It's bringing the greatest inspiration. And also the story of masters, how they practiced, can also bring us a lot of joy, like some kind of energy if we rejoice in that. Just like Rinpoche mentioned yesterday, the story Kunu Lama Rinpoche, great bodhisattva, who was the guru of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Very kind of simple, ascetic practitioner and yogi. He used to wear these glasses, and one of the glasses, one lens was broken. I don't know if he fixed that, but there was a picture of him with these glasses. Always one was smashed or broken on the side. Don't know if he ever fixed that. That wasn't out of self-hatred, but it's just out of the really simple, profound practice, non-attachment. And of course, other great inner qualities. And it kind of reflects, again, the story Rinpoche told about him yesterday, how he lived in Sarnath, so it gets really hot there most of the year. I think there's only about 3 months when it's cooler. Otherwise, it's like baking hot. And I'm sure in the 80s there wasn't certainly not air conditioning. And he lived in that busy crossroads, right in a crossroads when His Holiness went to visit him. Simple place on the middle of a crossroads. And so that, it didn't disturb his meditation, especially traffic in India. Peeping horns all the time. There's no sense of like personal space or quietness there, really, like in the West. So he had must have this really rock-like meditation. So when we go into praxis like shamatha, it's quite helpful to just think about what would that meditation be like. So deep and peaceful. That mind. I find that helpful to think about what that mind would be like as I try to do just sitting with the object myself, So the distractions here are small potatoes compared to, noise going on all the time, traffic, people passing by. So let's just place our own mind on our own object. It's the breath. Or if you have one already, use that, the deity or image of the Buddha. Otherwise, we just simply be with the breath to bring a bit more peace to the mind. And let's do this for 10 minutes. So as much as possible, like Kunu Lama Rinpoche, drawing inspiration for that story, I'm just going to be with the breath. And patiently, big part of the practice is being patient with our own mental distraction. Like we're patient with a child, our own child, and it gets, when it's a child gets distracted, runs away. If we love the child, we're patient. and bringing the child back to where it needs to be out of a dangerous place, So like that, being patient with yourself and just simply being with the breath, to settle the mind as much as possible on the either at the tip of the nostrils or at the level of the abdomen. Okay, so just gently come back out of the object, out of the concentration, or back to wherever you were in thoughts. It's okay. Just taking a moment to move the body a little bit. So for the second part of the meditation, we're just going to read through a few of the verses and just kind of remind ourselves maybe what we bring to mind, what we remember from those verses. I guess you also discussed with Alex last night, so might be, there'll be certain things that are still really quite fresh in the mind. And then I'll just mention a little bit from my notes as well. So we'll just start from the beginning. I make prostration to great compassion. Oh, have you got your text in front of you? You can read it together if you want. We'll just read it and read a verse and just a little bit contemplation in each verse. Oh, you don't have it? Okay, if you don't have it, you can listen. Sorry, just assumed you'd have the text. I make prostration to great compassion. I make prostration to the sublime teachers. I make prostration to the Buddha figures, those in whom to have belief. Let me rid myself of all indecisive wavering and cherish beings wholeheartedly earnest in my practice. Cherish being wholeheartedly earnest in my practice. So let me rid myself fully of being sleepy, foggy-minded, and lazy, and always make effort with perseverance. So again, just in a quiet way, thinking about what comes to mind from whatever Rinpoche taught yesterday. Is there anything that pops up in your mind that you remember from Rinpoche's commentary on that verse? Or whatever comes to mind for you when you read that verse, what meaning does it bring up for you? So indecisive wavering is quite difficult, yeah. We all have that. Rinpoche said we don't abandon that completely until we achieve the path of seeing. So until we have had a direct perception of emptiness, that kind of laziness, there's a laziness of the mind, a wavering, it's just due to the power of the ego. That, there's always this level of laziness, wavering, foggy-mindedness in the mind. So I think we're all very familiar with those ones. Again, it's not beating ourselves up about it, it's just being really aware constantly of what, as much as possible of what's going on in the mind. And as it says, always make effort with perseverance, or as Alex said, Rinpoche often, it's another way to translate that as joyous effort. So another Lama, another teacher, or I think many teachers say we need to find joy in our practice. Even Rinpoche mentioned yesterday the story of one of his students. She had this experience, or deeper insight into emptiness, but the joy wasn't there. There was a dryness. So it's really this cultivation of joy that's kind of creates the momentum for our practice. If we love our practice, we enjoy our practice. So how much, or there's maybe certain practices we love and enjoy and others that are tougher. So how can we bring that joy into the tough parts of practice as well? Maybe we just ask ourselves that. Where there's a gap in the joy, where can we bring that joy? How can we bring that joy? So verse 2, let me always safeguard the gateway of my senses with mindfulness, alertness and care. So let me check repeatedly the flow of my mind 3 times each day and each night. So here it's about checking what we need to abandon, and what we need to adopt. I mean, just generally, I think, in our practice. I think mostly, as Rinpoche was saying, the main thing is the kind of attachment to the 8 worldly concerns, the kind of energy attachment in our mind to this life. Even Rinpoche told the story, of how, or he shared, how it comes out of the teachings and you get this blast of inspiration. Like a blast of bodhicitta. Really wanting to develop your mind for others. And then it kind of wanes, well, quicker than we would like. So again, that's coming from, as Rinpoche said, the energy attachment in the mind. Kind of being wrapped up in our 5-star hotel samsaric appearance. As we have, most of us have, compared to others in the world. So how can we loosen that attachment a little bit more so we hold more the joy practice as the priority? Are there slight adjustments we can make? I mean, the main one is a reflection on death and impermanence. Rinpoche said, the preliminary. That really holds the mind tightly in practice. The next verse. Let me make my own feelings be known and seek not mistakes in others. So let me keep my own good qualities hidden and make the good qualities of others known. That's verse 3. So again, she said, we're very good at seeing mistakes in others. That's our, for not all, maybe not all of us, but we have, I think, still some habit, ill will. If we're all honest, it's still there somewhere, stronger for some of us than others. So again, the antidote to that, also Lama Zopa Rinpoche has us many times during even pujas practices, the antidote to rejoice in others' qualities. Doesn't mean others don't have faults, but when we see the mind ruminating over others' faults, try to seize one of their qualities in that moment and rejoice in that. Verse number 4. Let me rid myself of desire for material gain and honour, and always rid myself of desire for profit and fame. So let me have few desires, be content, and show appreciation for the kind acts that have been done. So again, this is also the 8 worldly concerns. Again, these verses are easier said than done. Looks nice, sounds nice, but takes some work, 8 world concerns is a big job to work on. But just at least on a daily basis, just checking the mind. When there is sort of attachment to these things, when it rises in the mind, see if we can just check it at that time, either by remembering death and impermanence or the faults, the attachment, how it kind of blinds our mind and sort of drowns out, kind of suffocates the development of other qualities in the mind. This clinging. Attachment suffocates our ability to really develop deeper levels of wisdom, see the nature of reality. It can separate us more, it creates a deeper gap between ourselves and others. And it has this quality of never being really satisfied. So like it, as Rinpoche mentioned the first evening, if we think about the story of the Buddha, to give away so much comfort, to just completely abandon all the wealth, enjoyments of the kingdom. Lama Tisha, similarly in his life story, was born into incredible, he was also like a prince. Or I think he was a prince, but he was born in incredible wealth. And he also, like Siddhartha, Prince Siddhartha, abandoned that. So they had a deep insight into the nature of samsara, or the nature of how these things just don't satisfy, no matter how much you have. It doesn't bring the deep satisfaction that the qualities of bodhicitta and emptiness bring to the mind, to the heart. So how wonderful it would be if each one of us We're really able to separate the mind via attachment and have those kind of deep insights into the nature of samsara, cyclic existence. Number 5, let me meditate on love and compassion and stabilize my bodhicitta aim. So let me rid myself of the 10 destructive actions and make myself stable, always with belief in fact. I think belief in fact here means it's another kind of translation for faith. So 10 destructive actions are the sort of 10 non-virtues. The body, 3 body, killing, stealing, sexual misconduct. 4 of the speech. So they gradually get more difficult. Speech is divisive speech, harsh speech, lying, and the harder one's idle gossip. Which in its, it's like most profound sense is talking about anything that's non-dharma. So that becomes quite big. Then ill will for the mind, ill will, wrong views of karma, and covetousness. So again, which one of those do we need to improve on more? Work on a little bit more with the body, speech, and mind. And then the last, we'll do one more. Let me overcome rage and pride and come to have an attitude of humility. So let me rid myself of dishonest ways of living and make my living with a livelihood that accords with the Dharma. So happiness comes from, as Rinpoche said, it's not so much about, when we hear about humility, of putting ourselves down, but simply changing priority from others first and me second, instead of me first and others second. How that operates in the mind, Of course, sometimes we get others second, first, and me second, but it's not all the time. So chipping away at that habit, joyfully, with a kind mind, also towards ourselves, of placing others before ourselves. That's the main practice of humility, with a joyful mind, without any sense of loss, feeling sad, placing others joyfully before ourselves, compassionately before ourselves, kindly before ourselves. So just being mindful of that in our day-to-day. As was in the example, just finishing maybe as a source of inspiration, that example, His Holiness, when he came to, His Holiness is the best example of doing that day by day, moment by moment, second by second, or whoever maybe your other gurus are. We see that quality of bodhicitta. The example where His Holiness came to Rinpoche's monastery, and even though he had such challenges with speaking, he was able to bring back his speech through the power of compassion, at least for that day, to give a longer transmission of the Dharma, the mantra, the Dharma, due to some sort of power of compassion and bodhicitta in His Holiness's mind, deep power of that. So may I and all beings be able really to develop that deep power within us through practicing these verses more deeply in our hearts and minds in our daily lives, receiving the inspiration of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas through our own self-study and practice. And so just to complete, we're going to recite a few Om Mani Padme Hum together, just to hopefully bring all the qualities of the bodhicitta in our hearts. That's the mantra compassion. So quick way to develop compassion, is really reciting this mantra as well when you read these texts and prayers, receiving the blessing of the deity, as it says in the beginning, prostrating not just to the great compassion, but to the Buddha figures and those who embody the qualities of compassion. So bringing forth their qualities, that quality of bodhicitta in our hearts, so we can visualize Chenrezig, or just feeling from the statue, light and nectar coming from the heart of Chenrezig, for the heart, or visualizing His Holiness or Rinpoche, all these beings who embody bodhicitta. I'll just recite a few mantras, receiving the light and nectar. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 be me home, Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Okay, thank you.